Hi everybody, welcome to the first one for Module A, first video for Module A here for CIS 118. I am going to go through and talk about managing data using tables. So we've seen tables before, that's not anything that's brand new for us necessarily, but we're just going to work with them a little bit more in this chapter. A nice easy one to start off the course with. So the first thing is to plan a table. Now to plan a table, first thing you want to do is somewhere in the table in the data, click inside of here so you're selecting some part of this table. After you have that, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the Insert tab, and then you're going to go into the Tables group on the far left here, and you're going to click on Table. When you click on here, there's going to be something that says two things. One, it says Create Table. So where's the data for your table? It's assuming you want A1 to F39 because you were selected on this particular cell. I picked D9 here, and that's in the midst of all of this data. So it's assuming that all of the stuff touching this is part of the table. And if that's right, great. If not, that's fine. You can always change it. You can clear it out and do it if you want to, but you can see there's a running little moving outline here that says this is all selected. And if you're not sure if it got all of it, you can always check. And it sure enough changes and bends and turns and curves and everything else. So it's good to go as far as that's concerned. And this one right here, make sure that you say that my table has headers. Headers are basically saying my table has labels. Do I already have labels on this? And the answer is yes. So we already have labels. If I went like this, I'm going to undo this in a second, but if I click OK here, I did not have labels, so it means that didn't have a label, so it made a new label up top. Column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so it's treating this as regular data. All right, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go back to do Insert, Table, and I'm going to say my table has headers. I'm keeping this checked. I want it to be checked off to say, yes, there is a title, there is a title, there is a title. Click OK, and now you can see inside of here, there is a title, and that is the top of my list now. Okay? So that's something that's definitely important as far as this is concerned. If you don't have that, there's definitely going to be an issue. So that's just how you make a table. That's a good thing right now. And again, I was just double clicking here. I don't know if you guys noticed. These were not quite fitting the full word. Same thing with this one. Didn't quite fit the full word. So I'm just double clicking here. It's auto adjusting to make sure it sizes everything so I can see all the data. Okay. Create table and format it. So the Insert tab, I already talked about that stuff. So table styles, when we want to do this is to change the formatting option. So again, when we're inside of here, you see there's a, let me move this down here, a tables tools group, okay? And there's a design tab that comes off with it. As soon as I click off of the table, that disappears and the tab is gone. So like we've seen before with charts and everything else, when you click in it, the tool charts comes in and the design tab and everything else. You could do whatever you want to it, change colors, do all that stuff. And when you click off of it, again, just like before, it disappears. So while I'm in here, there's different things you can do in here for the styles. Again, I'm not huge on caring too much about the styles, but pick something that makes sense, is not too obnoxious to your eyes, basically. I don't know, whatever you like. That's going to be, how about this? That looks good. So this one right here, this is what I'm going to choose. So as far as this is concerned, while we're in here, I'm going to show you guys, besides table styles, table style options. So right now it says banded rows. That's checked. That means bands of these rows. Every other one is a different color. Okay? If I turn it off, they're all the same. It may or may not be easy to find out what these things are matched up with or lined up with, depending on how long and how much data you have in here. So I'm going to keep it on. You can turn it off if you want to. There's a headers row. Right now, this is the headers row that has these little down arrows, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. That's where your headers are. It turns it off. Okay? We want them on. So two things. One, we know labels. Two, we can sort these things. First column, last column. These things can be extra bold for the first column for some reason. I'm not really sure why you would do that too much. I can understand sticking out somebody's name if that was the first thing and you have a whole lot of data on here, but maybe even if you had the banded rows turned off and you had this on, maybe it stands out a little bit more. But Again, doesn't really matter. Same thing with last column, bolded or not. And banded columns. So just like banded rows, every other row is highlighted. You could, in theory, have every other column and turn those off. It's up to you how much you want to see it. I tend to leave banded rows because we have all the data going horizontally anyway. And lastly, inside of there is called the filter button. The filter button is what actually allows us to go through and sort these things and filter through. So if I turn that off, that filter is no longer available. We want those on so we can actually do things inside of here. For example, this priority filter button right here, if I click on it, you could see I could sort smallest to largest, largest to smallest. I could sort by color. I could have number filters, equals, does not equal to, greater than, less than, anything like that, okay? We can change those things too. And I could select only show me 1s, 2s, 3s, or 4s, or select all. So if I click 1s only, this is what it's showing me is 1s only, okay? If I say show me all of them, it'll go right back to where they were, all right? So that's that portion of it. Exporting, we're not going to get too much into this thing, not yet anyway. And inserting slicers, we'll get to those things later on. Convert to range, we'll talk about this towards the end as well. Converting to a range allows you to actually go through and make this no longer a table so people can't mess with it anymore, but it's just something that's a piece of data now. So that's what that piece is for, okay? So you could add data to these things also. I'll click off of it so you don't see that anymore. You could add data by inserting rows and columns. So what you're going to do is you're going to right click on the row heading or the column heading, whichever one you want. And you could delete it too, by the way. So if I say I want one right between 5 and 6 here, I'm going to click on 6, right click, and it says hide, unhide, row height, format, and everything else. Well, there's an insert as well. So I can insert the data. And it just pushed everything down. So you guys can see before, let me do that one more time. 84287, Albus Dumbledore, priority 2. This is all in row 6. When I right click and say insert, it's going to shove row 6 down. See, the Albus Dumbledore is now in 7. And 6 is now the spot that I'm going to fill in. And whatever you want to fill in, you can fill in. I'm just making stuff up now at this point. Oops. Yeah. Priority 2. It's a lot of money. Let's go with that. He didn't spend very much, I guess, huh? I'll put some more in there. Okay. So that's, I think you get the idea. We added into it. Okay. And just like I added it, I can right click and I can press delete and it's gone. Okay, so you could add or delete. Same thing with the columns. Remember, this is the row heading is the actual numbers. This would be the column heading. So clicking on this gets the entire column C, all of it, forever. Ever and ever and ever. Okay? So you don't want to do those unless you're adding a row, deleting a row, or hiding or unhiding rows. That's the only time you really click on those pieces. Okay? You don't click on them otherwise. So again, if I right click though and do insert, it's going to insert to the left of it. So it pushes C over to this side and it inserts this column here. Again, following same sort and same suit. Okay. If I am on the side of anything, say for instance, I'm right on the edge and I just start typing. If I press tab to move over, it's going to assume because it was touching this that this is now part of this. And therefore formatted it as part of the actual list. So that's fine if you wanted to. Same thing vertically here with the columns. If I'm touching it and I'm starting to type extra column, whoops, it's touching it, so it assumes it wants it to be part of the table. Okay? You can always say no if you want to. You could format it differently. But otherwise, it assumes it's part of it. Okay? Other things you could do inside of this, say this row is huge. I mean, this is only, what, 39, so 38 pieces of data long. That's not that bad, but say this was huge. You can actually go through and remove duplicates. So inside the design tab, over in this tools range here, remove duplicates. It was right above the convert to range. Remove duplicates. If I click on this, right now it says select all. That means I'm going to check every single box, which is really every single column heading. Okay? If I select every single one, if it finds identicals in every single one, it's going to repeat them because they truly are duplicates. Okay? If I accidentally said, just for whatever reason, only, well, duplicates is kind of funny. Only remove duplicates for, I don't know, the order member, one person only. So I'm going to get rid of every single time I see Sirius Black, I'm going to get rid of all the other times. Every time I see Arthur Weasley, I'm going to get rid of all the other times. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to undo it in a second. So duplicates were found and removed. 6 unique values remained. Is that good or bad? Well, could be bad. Okay. So unfortunately, I don't want that to have happened. And I'm going to put them all back. So what happens instead is I'm going to go to remove duplicates. I'm going to make sure every single one is selected. That means truly a duplicate. And I'm going to click OK. No duplicates were found. That means every single thing was different. But some of you guys are probably saying, yeah, but if I sort this, I bet you it's not. So I'm going to sort this A to Z. There's a couple Albus Dumbledores, Arthur Weasleys. Look at this one. Arthur Weasley, priority 2, priority 2. Savings 225, savings 225. Well, this is where it's different. The first start where it's different. So therefore, even though all of this is the same, it doesn't matter. It's still different. This one, however, even weirder. Arthur Weasley, priority 4, 100,000, 100,000, 30,000, 30,000, 70, 70. Because I clicked order number, these are different, and I had everything selected, so technically, as close as that row and that row are, they are not actually duplicates. Okay, so be careful with that stuff. I'm going to show you guys something else. One thing I just did, I clicked on this filter button, and I sorted A to Z. That's how we're going to sort a lot of this stuff. Sorting A to Z or Z to A, or again, by color or whatever we want to do. Text filters, okay? So when I click A to Z, you notice there's a tiny little arrow up here. That means this is the one that is an ascending, going upwards from A to Z, going upwards in order, ascending order from A, R, S, and S. Okay, so it's in order already, but this is right here is telling me that this particular one is being sorted. All right. Now, if I did this priority, smallest to largest, again, it's growing, so it's going from priority 1 up to priority 4. Okay. Notice that this one now has that little arrow. Okay. That means that this is what is being sorted on. All right. Now, if I keep that sorted, and then I try to sort by balance, we'll go small to large. Notice how this one now has the arrow, and this one disappeared. I never cleared this. It's just because this is now being the sort, I have to move things. So by moving this in order, I mess up this column. So that's something that we have to talk about a little bit later. And so really the thing is you can only sort one level at a time. That's the big thing, okay? It sorts each column and moves the data in the other columns as needed. So basically what happens is this right here will always be together, no matter what. It will always stay together as I'm sorting, okay? That's key. You don't want to mix and match these things. That's why when I sort on this one no longer gets sorted as well, okay? I'm going to talk about doing multiple sorts in the beginning of the next video, which should start as soon as you click play basically for it, because I'm running out of time in this one. I'll be right back.